And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel, Jeremiah, and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Bucky here from the Beastquake Room for our Tuesday pod. What's up, Buck?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I be honest with you, this Monday night schedule I've got now where I go to bed early, get in here early, and watch the game on tape as opposed to television. So, you had a big game last night. The Lions end up thrashing the Green Bay Packers. No Aaron Rodgers and big problems for the Packers. But everything that I read before I got a chance to watch the tape this morning was, man, Brett Hundley's terrible. got in here this morning, I watched the tape, and I'm like, man, this isn't Brett Hundley's fault. It's a lot of other issues outside of the quarterback here.
Yeah, I didn't think he played that poorly.
It wasn't that bad.
I felt like they waited a long time before they kind of unleashed him and allowed him to do things that kind of played to his skill set. When they played faster, when they got him in shotgun, when they allowed him to kind of use all aspects of the field, he did a pretty good job. I think the big thing that we're seeing with the Green Bay Packers, to me, is what's telling. Aaron Rodgers matched so many flaws for the Packers. Like one quarterback, a franchise quarterback, an elite quarterback can really hide all of the issues that you may have. We're seeing now that the Green Bay Packers are a flawed squad, but number 12 is kind of like the best deodorant that you can ever have.
Yeah, no, that's a good word for it. I just want to watch Hundley. The negative things, is some of the things that showed up you saw at UCLA, running out of some clean pockets. He did that a couple times. Didn't necessarily need to do that. Had a shot of Jordy Nelson down the seam. Well, the nickel corner had kind of slipped. Had a nice shot down there for a touchdown, but he bailed out of a clean pocket. Didn't see it. But I look at this game, and I see a deep ball he threw that was on the money that was dropped. I saw him when they got him on the move was outstanding. And, Buck, the weird thing is, do you remember when Aaron Rodgers was coming out, he was the Jeff Tedford thing, right, where he held the ball up by his ear.
Absolutely.
And then he sat for all that time under Brett Favre. Then we got to see him in action. He had loosened up a little bit and looked like a different guy. If you watched Brett Hundley, I know the results are not the same as Aaron Rodgers, but he has morphed his footwork and his delivery.
He's copying the guy.
It looks just like him. It looks just like him. Even the where he sets up in the shotgun with kind of a staggered stance, it was kind of creepy. And I give Hundley a lot of credit that he's been studying the best in the game in Aaron Rodgers, and he's kind of trying to mimic him a little bit. Now the results aren't there; they're not the same. But I think the people that are trying to say that he was awful in this game are not well informed.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was terrible. I think there's so many other issues that you could point to. You could talk about Devontae Adams not coming up with a couple of big balls that would have helped the Packers. You could talk about their defense not being able to solve the riddle of Matthew Stafford, Golden Tate, and Marvin Jones. And so before you really can lay all the blame on Brett Hundley for not getting it done, I just think the Packers and all the other aspects of their team haven't necessarily played up to expectation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go into the offseason and address some of the needs that they have, because there are a bunch of them. I wanted to quickly jump into another topic here before we get to some college stuff in just a little bit. But looking at the NFL right now as it stands, looking at the last place teams, I'm going to rattle off the teams that are in last place in each division. And I want to say, on the shock factor, if you give me like the two or three that you're the most shocked of that are currently past the halfway mark here, sitting in last place. We got the Jets, the Browns, the Colts, the Broncos, the Giants, the Bears, the Bucks, and the Niners.
Bucks and the Giants are the two teams that I'm most surprised at. The Giants, I thought they had all of the makings of a Super Bowl squad when they brought over Brandon Marshall to go with Sterling Shepard and Odell Beckham Jr. I thought that defense would continue to play at a high level. And even though they didn't bring in a marquee runner, I thought teams would play a light box because they were so fearful of that passing game that would allow them to have balance and be able to run the football effectively. But none of those things have happened. Offensively, they have struggled. Even when they had Odell Beckham Jr., they still couldn't put the ball in the paint consistently. And then defensively, I think they're discouraged. They're a team that now is looking like a team that doesn't want to tackle. They're disengaged. You have guys who have been suspended in multiple weeks. And so I just think it's problematic. I'm just surprised because I thought the Giants would have been the best team in the NFC East.
Yeah, that's the big one for me. I mean, we both talked about them being Super Bowl contenders. Giants would be the big shock. Denver. I come back to Denver. We talked about them a little bit on the Takeaway podcast. Man, defensively, it's still a playoff caliber team for sure, and really I think if they have some offense, I think you say it's a Super Bowl caliber defense once again. But they've been so bad up front offensively and so average to bad at the quarterback position. I think that does affect their defense. But even that being said, Denver to be sitting where they are right now, I think is a pretty big surprise.
Big surprise. This is a team that, we thought they had fixed the offensive line, maybe getting Garrett Bowles, trying to upgrade some of the guys they brought in free agency, that they would be a more effective team running the ball, because we knew Trevor Siemian needed that balance. He needed a running game to take some of the pressure off of him. And when they don't have that balance, like the quarterback play that they've gotten thus far, Siemian and then even seeing Osweiler, those guys can't necessarily carry the load. And then defensively, I think we're seeing some signs of slippage. I know we can talk about them being discouraged because of the offense, but I think we're beginning to see that they were a little older in the back end. Chris Harris, Aqib Talib, we're seeing more big plays hit over the top of those guys. I think this window is closing quickly, and if they don't fix the offense soon, it'll be a done deal in Denver.
By the way, I got word from some folks that Lane Johnson had seen had either seen our matchup video or heard about our matchup video, and that it was motivation for him against Von Miller last week, and wanted to kind of let everybody know what was up. And he played really well. I went back and watched it. He actually played really, really well against Von Miller. Look, we've said it. He's, if not the best, one of the best right tackles in the NFL. But look, you just point out, hey, every now and then he ducks his head, and he's gotten in some trouble.
I mean, we help.
Lane got fired up about that, and he wanted to go out there and do his thing. What was brought up to me, though, was an interesting point. The whole right tackle, left tackle thing, throw it out. When you look at where everybody's rushing now, right tackle, why move him? When you're going to see, he saw Von Miller, he's going to end up seeing, or I think he's already seen JPP, who rushes from that side. He's going to see Khalil Mack. They play the Raiders. He's going to see all those guys.
Yeah, you can eliminate that old thing, idiom, or whatever that we
premier guys, premier pass rushers, blindside.
They go on both sides. It's a thing that has been popularized of late. We're seeing Khalil Mack. You talk about Von Miller, JPP. Those guys are lining up at left defensive end so they can take advantage of right tackle. So now teams are tasked with trying to find a way to come up with basically two guys who have the athleticism and the footwork of a premier left tackle, but they have to put them on each side.
Yeah, so it's throw that one out the window. What I wanted to get to next here, Buck, before we get to some college stuff, we've talked all the time this whole year. The biggest storyline I think of the year has been Goff and Wentz and the way those two second-year quarterbacks have been playing and where they've got their football teams. But when you go back and look at it, both those teams made bold moves to move up for those quarterbacks. Which is the fact they went 1 and 2. They traded up to go get them. So when I'm looking at the draft order, you go to NFL.com right now, you can find what the draft order would be if the season ended today. Obviously, we'll have some changes. But I'm going to give you the teams, because it would cost a lot, I think, to go from 11, let's say anywhere from 11 to 15. Let's lower it a little bit. We'll go 8. Let's go like 7 or 8 to 15, and then just tell me a team you think would make sense. Maybe they're a team that we fast forward to the draft. They're the bold ones that go ahead and say we're going to trade a bunch, go up there and get a quarterback. So I'll give you who's picking here. The Browns, their second pick would be 7th, but they right now would own the second pick. Chargers, Broncos, Bears. We know the Bears are out of the quarterback market after last year. So take them out of the mix. Now we get to pick number 11. The Ravens, the Jets, the Raiders, they're not going to be in the market, and the Cardinals. There's some interesting teams with older quarterbacks there. If you want to follow the blueprint of what the Eagles did, what the Rams did, and say, let's be bold, let's go up and get it done.
I think the Jets could be in consideration. I don't know how much ammunition they have to give up, but I think the Jets could be a team that is finally looking to find one of those quarterbacks. And let's say it. There'll probably be 3 quarterbacks that will carry top 10 grades. Mm-hmm. And so the fight is trying to figure out which one do you like, who is the bottom of that, like who's the floor, and how high do we have to go to get that. And so based on how quarterbacks have been valued, based on the Goff and Wentz conversation, because I know there's always a trickle-down effect. So when they went up to get those 2 quarterbacks, they were kind of laughed at, they were criticized, all those guys worth it. Well, now that they've seen the fruits of their labor, other teams are like, you know what, if I like a quarterback, I'm just going to go ahead and get it. And I don't care what they say, because if he makes us right, it's worth everything. So I think you have to get in that high cut. I think you have to be in the top 5 to maybe get one of those 3, which I would say that those are the 3 of the 5 best quarterbacks, 3 of the 5 best players in football. But if you want one, I think you have to go in the top 5 to make sure you get one.
How about the Baltimore Ravens at 11? Let's say they end up picking 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range.
When can they get out from up under that Flacco deal?
The finances, you have to look into that. But just in terms of going forward and finding a young quarterback to try and start a rebuild, it kind of feels like this is a team that might be headed towards a rebuild. Suggs is getting toward the end of the line.
Man, he was hanging on trying to get one more.
He's played well this year, to his credit, but I don't know how much more he's got left. So they're kind of due for a rebirth here.
They are. I think it'll be tough for them. They do need to find a way to deal with or answer the Joe Flacco question, because this year of all years, we all knew what he was. But now you rob him and strip him clean of everything. Yeah, he can't get it done. He can't.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's really disappointing. He just can't make enough plays. And I feel like even in his heyday, during his best years, Ray Rice bailed him out of a lot of situations, because
3rd and forever against the Chargers.
Yeah. Every year I felt like the Ravens always started off, we're going to make this Joe Flacco's team, we're going to pass. Then about week 8, when they need to win, they started handing the ball to Ray Rice, and that would give them enough to get into the playoffs and maybe make a run. Now he doesn't have that security blanket at running back, and he hasn't had it for the last couple of years. We've seen this has been a 500 or below team. He hasn't played at a high level. And I believe you seriously have to think about, man, can we get over the hump with this guy as our quarterback?
All right, then last point on the draft here, then we'll move on to some college stuff. But as it stands right now, this Deshaun Watson injury, obviously the worst thing that could ever happen to the Texans. What a gift to the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, they needed it.
Bucky, they right now, the season of the day, they're picking 2 and 7. Number 2 pick in the draft and the number 7 pick in the draft. And I believe they have their second, too, from the Osweiler trade, which looks like a really high 2.
Yeah, but who's picking? It doesn't matter what picks
we'll
they
see.
have. Who's picking? Like, what are they going to do with it? Like, they'll probably trade him back and get 18 more picks.
No, please. This is the year
players.
I'm begging them, do not trade back.
Oh, they got to show how smart they are. You know? They got to show
everybody. The phrase we talk about with quarterbacks, pick and stick. They need to stick and pick. They need to just flip it around the other way.
You think so? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, they could end up having 4 of the top 35, 36 picks in the draft.
I just don't have a lot of confidence right now. As it stands, I don't have a lot of confidence no matter who they bring in at quarterback. And I don't even know how you can tell what you need a quarterback, because you haven't really played the quarterback that you drafted in the second round. Like, how can you have a true evaluation for what you have when they haven't done that? So say they go and get another quarterback. I mean, they're going to mess them up. So now you have a second-year quarterback that was a 2. You have a first-year quarterback who was a 1, a third-year quarterback who was a 3. I mean,
that just means in 2019 they got to get a 4.
I mean,
that's a cycle.
It's just unbelievable.
I don't know. There's something to be said though for just keep going back into the well until you hit on one.
I mean,
it hasn't worked out.
I mean, I guess. Jeez.
But man, yeah, they could be sitting prettier. Texans, if the Texans go on a slide here with Tom Savage, which is
they're going to go on a slide.
Very real possibility.
God.
2 top 5 picks.
Man, if that doesn't convince you of what Deshaun's value was to that team,
yeah.
I don't know what.
It's a different offense. They don't even run the same offense.
Jeez.
Completely different.
Tom Savage,
yeah.
Man, and I know there's some apologists and guys that have been waiting for Tom Savage to be the unicorn that he was built up to be prior to the draft.
Troy Aikman.
But I think we can kind of put all that craziness to bed.
Well, we had 3 of the last 4 plays. He didn't either keep the ball on the court or he got sacked with the game on the line. 4 shots to win.
That was a shot.
1 catchable ball.
Come on.
All right, let's move over to some college stuff. We're talking about Deshaun Watson, the offense they were running, gets me into studying Baker Mayfield this week. This morning I got in here and popped on some tape and did some more work on him. And he's one of those guys, Bucky, I got to be honest, the more that I watch Baker Mayfield, the more that I like him. And I know they don't play defense in the Big 12. I know there's some big windows. But I see somebody that's working through progressions. I specifically wanted to watch him to see how's he moving in the pocket. Because Manziel, that was kind of the big concern with him, was anytime pressure came, he was a magician, he'd get out of trouble. And you see some of those highlight plays from Mayfield doing the same things, run around, making things happen. I wanted to see him shuffle, slide, climb, do those things inside the pocket, stay in there and make throws. And I saw it. I saw him do those things better than what Manziel did in terms of functioning inside the pocket. And I think I'm going to go to their game this weekend against TCU, so I'll come back next week and give you a better idea. But it looks like the ball's jumping out of his hand, too.
Yeah, I think he spends it pretty well. I see him as a guy that Has a lot of moxie, a lot of grit, kind of feisty. The intangible qualities are certainly there in what you look for. Undersized in terms of height from an ideal franchise
So
quarterback.
they estimate him. They don't have official, but the scouts went through estimate him at 6'006". So you're talking about under 6'1", a little bit under 6'1", and literally I think he was listed at like 203, 204.
Yeah, he's not a big guy. And I'm gonna say this: I don't think he's an explosive athlete. I think Johnny Manziel was a more explosive runner and playmaker than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, however, is a much more advanced passer than Johnny was in terms of like being disciplined with his footwork, his pocket
Release,
presence,
the whole deal.
his release. He can make the throws that you want to see him make. I've compared him to a couple of different guys. I've compared him to Tyrod Taylor in essence. That's not a slight to Tyrod or to Baker Mayfield. I can see him playing in that vein. I also had a little Jeff Garcia in his game, kind of athletic, get the ball out. I don't think his arm is as big as I've seen the Russell Wilson comparison. I just don't think his arm is as big.
That's why I'm anxious to see him this weekend.
I haven't seen him up close
because I think I was a little hard on his arm strength when I watched him over the summer, and when I've watched him this year, it looks like he's got a little more pace and a little more giddy up on it. I've seen him squeeze some balls in.
Yeah.
So, again, we always say with quarterbacks, you got to go see him throw live to get a feel for that. Russell Wilson had a huge arm.
Yeah, that was the big thing.
I think he's got plenty. I think he's got enough. I just don't know if I can say it's a huge arm. I'll let you know next week.
No. The other thing that'll be interesting when we get down to it, he's running up these numbers against Big 12 competition. And last year at the Combine, how many Big 12 guys were there? Like 12 to 15? So from a competition standpoint, how many pros is he throwing against?
You know what's going to be the answer to that? It's going to be 27 for 35 for 386, 3 touches against Ohio State on the road and at night.
I mean, that's a nice answer.
That's good. That's going to be
that's a nice
lot
answer.
of NFL dudes on that defense.
A lot of NFL dudes on that defense. And then the other thing to that will be when we go back and we track and monitor that, what was he actually throwing? I
watched it. He made some big throws in that game.
And so I'm not being devil's advocate because I actually like Baker. I think Baker has a chance. I think in the right offense, I think he can be a pretty good player. I don't think he's in that class of the big three that we've talked about, but I do think he's in a conversation kind of where I would think the guy that he maybe models his game after went, and that would be Drew Brees, who went the top of the second. I see him as that kind of player from a draft value, but certainly
you know how
in the right
it is.
situation.
Like the guys that the top of the second guys now are middle of the first guys. That's just the way. It's just the bump up you get. It is.
Ooh, can we get that? Can we get that DJ says Baker Mayfield is a first-round pick? Can we make that the
You want to make that the video this week?
Can we make that the video?
I'll put it to you this way. I'll put it this way. I've yet to see him play live. That'll take place this week. What I studied this morning. No.
I just want the clicks.
Well, you get the clicks. What I studied this morning, assuming he comes in over 6 feet tall, he will be a first-round pick, in my opinion.
Ooh.
There you go.
I like that. I mean,
is that good enough?
I can see that. I mean, I'm saying the same. We're speaking the same thing. Where he gets picked and how he plays. I'm saying this. So if it's a borderline first, second-round player, that means he is a starter in the league. I do believe he can be a starter in this league. And remember, Derek Carr went 34.
And I think that has led. I think you look at the Derek Carr, and I think you look at Dak. I think some people have said,
for sure,
we got to push these guys up now.
And I think there's something to be said for how those guys have played. I think when you bring the Dak example, you bring the Derek Carr example, and not only taking them, but how they were surrounded. If you think about Derek Carr in particular, Amari Cooper comes right after. They get Michael Crabtree, so they have 2 legitimate wide receivers. They get the best offensive line outside of Dallas to support him. And, yeah, Derek Carr has played at a remarkable level. I think for Baker Mayfield, if he goes mid to bottom of first, top of the second, he'll have an opportunity to be a pretty good player, provided that he has the right kind of stuff around him.
Let me get you excited about the Senior Bowl here. Bucky's so excited because we're seeing the
the
Nature Boy.
The Nature Boy.
The Doc. That's
your
your guy.
Not only that, but Dusty Rose.
The American Dream. Is he from your area too?
No, but that's all my area. WCW.
Oh yeah, I watched a lot of that too as a kid. Saturday mornings.
Oh, loved it. I can't wait to see it.
Jim Cornette. the Senior Bowl. Let me get you excited for the Senior Bowl here real quick.
Oh, you got rosters? You got
I
some
don't have
insight?
rosters,
You got
but
some
I'm
insight?
just spitballing here.
All right.
Okay. Quarterback-wise, this All-Star games are only as good as the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen, if he can graduate early,
That'd be good.
Could be there. You could have a Senior Bowl with Josh Allen,
Baker Mayfield,
Mason Rudolph, Luke Falk, and then you got Ben Kirk down at UVA. That's a good group. That's a good handful of quarterbacks right there. Normally, you get to the Senior Bowl, you're hoping, man, I hope we have a couple guys.
No, that would be
That's a great group.
That is a great group. That would be outstanding to see those many guys kind of show up and play and get a chance to get around them to kind of watch them back to back to back spin it.
How about Finley? Have you looked at him yet from NC State?
I have looked at him.
I heard he's a little bit older, so he might be somebody to keep an eye on that could end up coming out.
Former Boise State transfer, followed his offensive coordinator down to NC State. Prior to last week, he had been on an incredible run without an interception. Maybe 229 throws without a pick. When I watched him, ball comes out quick. He does a great job of playing small ball. They do kind of like a old dink and dunk offense. Don't turn it over. Don't put it in harm's way. And he plays very, very effectively in that. To me, I see a guy that is more of a managerial type, a guy that you need to have all the stuff around him, and he can be maybe a high-end trailer, not a truck.
Yeah.
High-end trailer. Like, if you got the stuff around him, I think he can be successful. But is he a game changer? No, but he's certainly a winning quarterback that you can build around as a young guy that you want to develop. And to that point, I think there are two other guys that could probably go in that conversation because I wrote about these guys a couple weeks ago. He was one. Riley Ferguson from Memphis is another.
Yep.
Who's kind of a gunslinger, can throw it all over the yard.
He's not a senior, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
He is. And then Will Greer from West Virginia will be another one to kind of keep an eye on. Those three guys are kind of guys that I've kind of lumped in that developmental prospect bin, which could be anywhere from 3rd to 5th round. But you can see those guys rise or fall based on how they can continue to finish their season and what they do in the offseason.
So that's not a bad group of quarterbacks could have there at an All-Star game.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, let's get real quick into last week's games. We talked about the Big 12 a little bit. That Oklahoma State game was a total shootout. Anything else surprise you from the week at all, Buck? I mean, Ohio State getting absolutely thrashed by Iowa.
I was surprised by that.
That one surprised me, to say the least. And then the Hurricanes. Maybe Reggie's onto something there. Although, if you poured truth serum down Reggie Wayne's throat, he would tell you, we're a year away.
Yeah, I think so.
They're undefeated.
And they are undefeated. They continue to win games. But, man, they are one of the least impressive undefeated squads that we're talking about maybe getting into the playoff. This will be a big week for them. Seeing them play against Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to hit them in the face. But they get them at home. We'll get a chance to see if the U is back. This is a huge week for all the Hurricanes. It's been a while since they've been relevant.
Yeah, and I think let me give you this thought here. Say we get into the playoff, Alabama's a 1, and Oklahoma is a 4. I look, Alabama. I know they're the
that's the team
they don't want to see them.
No, they don't want to see them because typically they don't do well against teams that are playing up tempo and they have a pretty dynamic quarterback, meaning that it can hurt you a little bit with their legs, but also make plays with their arm. The extended plays off the script.
If you're an Alabama fan, you don't want that game.
No. You want to make sure you get the right seed. You don't want to play Oklahoma. It'll be interesting to see Oklahoma's defense against Alabama, though.
Alabama will run it down their throats. I don't doubt that. I do not doubt that. But you better not turn it over because Oklahoma's going to score in about 3 plays.
Fast break.
Well, that'll be interesting. I was thinking about that potential matchup down the line. Other ones that stood out, trying to look down through here. Texas A&M, Buck. I think that's.
Oh, Dunzo?
Yeah, I think that's if you are Kevin Sumlin right now, you're watching every Arizona State game for the rest of the year. It's going, come on, man, just lose a couple. That's my spot. That's my next gig.
It might be a spot, but that buyout that Ty Graham has is huge.
How is that possible?
Huge. He got him right after they had a good year. I think they went to a championship game.
I would love to know what's going through these ADs' minds.
Hey, can't lose my guy. Got to go
right
to the
table. You know what the sales pitch is? Hey, recruiting. This recruit needs to know that I'm on a 5-year extension.
Got to know I'm here.
If he thinks I'm just on a 3-year contract, he's not going to come here. No recruit has ever looked at the length of a contract for a coach and made a decision ever. It's the dumbest thing I've
I
ever
want to know
heard.
my guy's going to be here.
Stupid.
My guy.
So dumb. All right, last thing I want to hit on the college games from the weekend. Texas makes a change, right? Charlie Strong.
Oh, yeah, Tom Herman.
Tom Herman.
Oh.
A lot of hype.
A lot of hype. We're going to bring it back.
I'm looking down.
This team is ready.
4-5. Remember Charlie on the walk-off? Didn't he have the walk-off said whoever comes in here walking in is going to get 10 wins next year?
Should be able to. I'm waiting for those 10.
I don't think they have enough games on the schedule. But
I'm waiting for those 10.
I don't think they have enough.
And what happened to my quarterback? So they went from Bouchel to Ellinger for a couple weeks. Ellinger was like the guy, the gritty, the moxie, hook 'em. Now they're back to Bouchel.
I don't know if he's hurt or not. I have not watched a lot of Longhorn football over the last couple weeks. I just see the losses piling up. But
that's just because you're heartbroken because you picked them. You picked them in some game.
I picked them I picked them to beat Oklahoma.
They let
Rivalry
you down.
game. They had a shot, didn't get it done.
They let you down.
You going anywhere this week? What are you watching this week? Anything good?
No, I'm just hanging. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to watch Notre Dame and Miami because that's the marquee game. Can't wait to see that one.
It'd be good.
That's the one.
Pretty good slate this weekend. Again, I'm going to head out to Norman, Oklahoma. Go check out the Sooners and the Horned Frogs. See what goes down.
Don't forget
there.
to watch the other quarterback, Trill.
Oh, Kenny Trill Hill. They got it back. I actually called the scout on the way in this morning and said, hey, TCU, what do I need to look at? He said, just watch the running back. That's their best dude. Got a couple offensive tackles. They're developmental guys, but really it's the running back. So check him out. Tight end from Oklahoma's got some buzz. Watch Orlando Brown Jr. He looks a little bit like Pops. He was around his dad with the Ravens. He's nasty. Probably going to kick over to the right side at the next level, but good player. But let's be honest, I'm going there to see Baker.
It's all about Baker.
It's all about Baker. All right, hey, let's get out of here. Nice, quick, swift episode today. Chris stepping in for Sully. Chris, thank you so much.
Hey,
Nicely done.
Absolutely, guys.
Chris runs a tight ship over here.
Tight ship.
Yeah.
Tight
In and
ship.
out, right?
Stopwatch.
In and
everything.
out. In
Let's
and
go.
out. All right, we're efficient. All right, let's get out of here. Again, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for leaving us a review on iTunes. If you haven't already, please do us a solid. Hop on there. Give us a rating. Give us a review. We greatly appreciate it. All right, see you next time.
Thanks for downloading Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. For more, go to nfl.com/podcasts.